All right, welcome to the Captain Jamtastic podcast. Today with me, one of my favorite guests that I've had so far. No offense to all the other guests, but Ball don't lie.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, I'm good. Thank you for joining me. First of all, what is it?
Yeah,
What
of
is it they
course.
always
Thanks
say
for
when they
having me
call
on.
into the radio? It's long time, first time. This is our first time
Yeah,
we've met.
long time listener,
So
first time caller.
yeah, exactly. So it's actually pretty exciting. We had like a 5 minute conversation before this for the first time. We both
Yeah.
told each other how much we love each other. So this is great. I'm looking forward to this.
Profess my deep love and admiration. Yeah, it's
Exactly.
great. Great time.
Let's jump right in.
Sure.
I'm gonna hit you with a question I actually didn't throw on there, but it was something Mex and I talked about off air, and it was
Okay. I love it.
about the tag coin allocation. And he was saying he felt he got too much this season. Would you agree with that?
Um, to be completely honest, I don't actually remember what all the allocations were. Can you remind me what he got?
I
Or is it
mean,
just kind of a general thing?
I think it's more of a general thing, mainly because I don't
Okay.
have that information.
I remember. I mean, I definitely remember like when they released it.
Yeah,
I was like, because I've known Mex for a while and know what he was capable of.
yeah,
I
yeah,
was very surprised he was as low in terms of like, the lower you are, the more tech coins you get. How low he was. I thought he was a lot stronger than a lot of the other captains in terms of just like mechanical ability and just overall,
yeah. He said
being a good
he
player
he worked off a lot of the rust in that first week.
for sure.
So I
Yeah,
think
he
that
was definitely
was
a little bit rusty coming off, but I still felt like I knew what he could do, and I knew that he would put the time in, especially because of the whole quarantine thing. So
right.
I was
Yeah.
surprised. I definitely obviously hindsight's 2020, but yeah, he certainly got probably too much, but I'm glad that he did.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, clearly your team is like crushing it so far. It's like,
Well, and the funny thing too about it is that I had I meant to look up earlier before I came on here. But I had no idea that he was drafting me up until like he just like a lot of the other captains had kind of memed like, "Oh, I'm getting you." He had said like that, but uh, in reality, he nobody was really messaging me. It was very similar actually to season 16, where I was coming off of a like not a great season, and I had captained like a couple times or whatever, and then
yeah.
season 16, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna because like normally, I feel like this is probably true for a lot of people. You have like a couple people in mind that you like try to get to, so you kind of like steer away the conversation from other captains where you're like, yeah, you can get me, but just don't get me. um,
I feel like
but
you're sweating a lot, kind of like that Key and Peele's sketch where they
yeah,
talk to him and
exactly.
he's
No,
just
exactly. Where she like the horse porn, really? Like, um, but no. So season 16, it was like that where I didn't talk to. I decided I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna like try and get on anyone specific because I'm whatever. I'm just gonna see what happens and roll the dice. And I signed up as both, and so I had no idea who was drafting me at the time. And then Ty got me and Ron Hexball, and
yeah,
they got me for like 90 some odd tag coins. And this is you have to think like this is before I had only played defense one time, and it was with Cynical in season 13.
yeah, yeah.
So it was a couple seasons later, 3 seasons later, and because of the tag coin amount, I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'm just playing O with Ty, or maybe Ty will play D or whatever. And Ron immediately, as soon as like I get in the channel or whatever, was like, hey, we got you for defense. Go ahead and pick your partner. I was like, okay, sure. I was like, thanks for the confidence. Like, appreciate that. But it was very similar to this season. That's why I bring that up, is because I really didn't know who was drafting me. Nobody was like went out of their way to say like, "Hey, I'm getting you," or nobody even really went out of their way to say like, "Hey, I'm not gonna get you."
That's funny because the communication
Other than
when
like Curry, I guess. Curry
yeah.
was like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna get you."
Yeah, Curry flamed everybody in his podcast, so it was
Yeah, I
fantastic.
listened to that one. It was pretty good. It was pretty good.
Mexal, however, he was high on you. He said one of the big reasons he came back this season is he wanted to get you help you get a super. Obviously win for himself, but also he wanted to help you get a super. And the big talk, he wants to help you, hopefully, get you into the Ball of Fame with one more super. That seems like you're a sure lock.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously you could make the argument that I'm I'm like pretty close right now.
I would say in my book, you're already in. Not
Yeah, I
just
mean,
for
if
all
you
the
ask
stuff
me,
you
I
do, but
agree. But a lot
yeah.
of the community, I don't know what it is. I think honestly, like I'm not even like trying to rag on myself here. I think it's just because most of the time my stats aren't like insane. Like I've never been in the running really for MVP. Although if you ask me, I absolutely should have been like a couple of those seasons. But I mean,
Sure.
it's whatever. Like it is what it is. But I think a lot of people sleep on me just because I'm not like stat whore isn't the right word, but like I'm not putting up these ridiculous numbers. It's more
Yeah.
just like consistently good and whatever you want to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um but yeah, so I mean what the response that I've gotten from a lot of the community, because I think I'm at like I think the last Ball of Fame voting I was at like 46% or something like that. So like close to 50
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. And you need 75. So I think another super win would for sure get me in. So that's kind of the feedback that I've
Well,
that I've gotten
I
from
would put you
people.
in just for. I mean, I'm not sure what the criteria is, but all the like extra stuff you do outside of the tiles as well. I think that's a huge benefit to the community, and I think that deserves to push you over the top if you were close, in my opinion. So
I definitely appreciate that,
yeah,
but what I will say, and I might get some flack for this, I don't know, but I'm actually of the opinion that the people in the Ball of Fame should just be like for the majority should be just players, like things that you've done on the tiles. I'd at least for me, I'd rather be in the Ball of Fame for my accomplishments on the tiles as opposed to anything I did outside. Like
yeah,
I think that if you want to do it that way, maybe split it up and have two different kind of Ball of Fame sections. I don't know, but like I've always thought that it should be just kind of
sure, on the
players.
tiles. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, bad news. You're not getting it. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow. Damn, just like that. Okay. All right. Well, I've accepted my fate.
No, I actually kind of agree with you. I think it would be kind of neat if they had like a content hall of fame as well.
Yeah.
And like on that side, you could also put in somebody like Poet, who's been running this league for a bit now,
Oh yeah,
putting
that
in.
actually reminds me. Shout out to Poet. Please release the results of the fucking Ball of Fame, man. I've PM'd him like I'm not kidding. Hang on, I'm gonna pull it up actually. It'll take like 2 seconds because I literally PM him like I don't want to say every other day. All right, so started. Let's see. So April 17th, I was like, "Hey, when are the results coming out?" Because it had already been like a month or two. Then I waited like a couple weeks, and I said, "Any word?" And I waited like a couple more weeks. Hey, any update? And I waited a couple more weeks. Any idea when they're gonna be released? I haven't gotten a response, like nothing at all. So
I think
I don't know. Shout out to
he's
Poet. Just would love a response there, buddy. Just trying to help the community move along here and keep things at a nice pace.
yeah, that's hysterical. I think he's probably trolling you a bit at this point.
I would assume so. I mean, he's a busy guy. Like he's got a lot of tag pro related stuff, and I'm sure
Yeah,
a lot of real life stuff going on. But
yeah,
I
yeah.
just would like to, see the results because I know he has them.
Yeah, yeah, of course. That's so funny. But yeah, big shout out to Poa, everyone on the CRC, not just this season, but every season. I mean, that is a
Yeah.
demanding work, and I feel like there's not a super high retention rate after one or
No.
two seasons. And
No,
same
it's
thing
not.
to Fender. I know a lot of people give him grief and stuff, but dude's been keeping stats for this league and NLTP for a while. So
Yeah, same with Matt. I always appreciate like the posts that always get like a decent amount of upvotes, but not much comments, like Fender's posts or Magic Pigeon's post. I really
yeah,
like both those guys' work, but I just don't really say stuff that often. But yeah, it's
yeah,
definitely big. I love all of that stuff.
yeah, for sure. So we kind of hit on it a bit where you were saying your stats aren't as big, but this season you're leading the league in caps, 44. It's also a career high for you if you eliminate season 14, where there was 80 more minutes than every other season, it seems. And season,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, kudos. And you're last season seemed to be a very high offensive impact season, lots of 50 cappers. This season,
hmm
it's just you and Ballerina. Um, so you guys
Yeah, and
are
I think
crushing it.
honestly that part of that is at least the way the draft worked this season. I felt like there were not that many um high profile offensive names, and I think you can still see that kind of when you look at the leaderboard.
Mhm.
Um, and there are a lot of good defenses. So I think that a lot of the defensive pairs make it tough on the opposing offenses. That it's just you're not seeing as high of cap numbers.
Yeah, I talked to a young OLTP player who was considering joining the season but decided not to. I don't know if you've heard of him. His name's Bright. Um,
Rings a bell.
I've used that joke several times, and it always
Probably
gets
got to
over
laugh
for
every
me.
time.
So you're playing with Ballerina. Is she one of the best majors rookies you've ever seen, or
Um, I mean, here's what I'll say about Ballerina. That I think the thing that sets her apart from, and I've played with on my teams like quite a few rookies.
yeah?
I mean, season 17 we had Fury. Season 19 I had Balenka and Thick Shady.
Hmm.
Season 16 I had Arm. So it's not. I don't want to say. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty uncommon for the rest of the league. I feel like, but a lot of my teams I feel like have rookies, at least one on
Yeah,
the team, just because I end up usually going for a high amount, or I end up spending a lot of coins on somebody else.
yeah, yeah.
Um, of the ones that I've played with, I think she is very similar to Arm Branch in that both of them had a very similar mindset in the sense of they want to get better. Like
Oh, that's
I
fair.
remember
Yeah,
day one, with Ballerina, she was like, I can't remember if she messaged me first or I messaged her, but she was like, "Hey, what do you want from me? What do you expect from me? Like how do I improve? Like I want to get better at this game. Like
yeah,
just show me like what you want me to do. Tell me how I'm not gonna." And I was like upfront with her. I was like, "Here's what you need to do. Like here's
yeah,
how we're gonna make this work, and go from there." And obviously, every map, every time we're scrimming, I'm trying to give pointers where I can, and
yeah.
it was very similar to Arm Branch. Like they both wanted to be good. I remember Arm like I think after week 1 or 2 in season 16, um, we were playing on Emerald, and he kind of I don't want to say struggled, but he wasn't playing as well as I knew he could.
He was trash. You can say
No, he wasn't trash at all.
it.
He just like his contain was a little off or
Sure.
funky, and he was asking me like, what can we do? So I was like, you know what, let's pull up the game tape and let's go over and where I want you. So I would like literally point my mouse like, all right, if I'm here, then you need to be at this location, and this is the reason why. And if I have this lane, you have this lane. If I have this side, you cover over the top. I've got the bottom. Like, and if they
Yeah.
split, then that's on both of us. That kind of thing. So it was like anytime they're really open to communication, I find, or open to criticism,
Yeah.
they are the ones that are going to succeed because they're the ones that want to get better. They have that want. And
Yeah, and that's a thing. Like I've always been that way, and it sounds like I would if I decide to ever play again, it would be fun to play alongside you, just because I love taking that criticism,
yeah.
and it's honestly like I think there's a lot of players that when you get to a certain level, you just don't listen to your partner anymore. You're like, no,
Oh, for
no, what I
sure.
did was right. But like if you guys meld, it's going to be a pretty difficult defense or offense either way to go up
Absolutely.
against. So
Yeah, and
speaking
I
of,
mean,
oh,
see,
go ahead.
the reason we won season 16 was because Arm and I played so well together, and it
Yeah,
was just I found him in a pub one day, and I was like, hey, this guy's really good. Told Ron to draft him to go after him in free agency after we
yeah.
didn't draft him, but
How many pints did he
and then
have?
the same thing with Ballerina. I noticed. I think what helped her too. I will say this because kind of I got derailed from your original question a little
That's
bit,
all
but
right.
yeah, she's definitely one of the better rookies that I've seen,
Sure.
and I think what really helped her too, which you see from time to time, is she got to play in the playoffs last season,
Hmm.
in majors, I believe. Maybe not playoffs. I don't. I think it was playoffs though. It was either playoffs or like the last couple weeks, and she was subbing in for someone that had left the team or whatever, and she played really well alongside Abe on O,
Yeah.
and that always impressed me. So I was like, I knew she could do it. Um, so that's kind of why we went after her, and I didn't know her personality all that much, but I took a chance and was like, yeah, I'm sure she's fine.
Yeah, of course. So when you're playing, do you prefer offense or defense, or does it not matter?
You know, that's a great question. It depends on the mood that I'm in.
Sure.
Sometimes it's funny. I'll play in a pub and I'm like, okay, this is a defense kind of day,
Hmm.
because like I'll just be like hitting snipes or like my contain's really strong, and then other days I'm just like jukey as hell. So I don't know if I have a preference in terms of majors. I think it's um easier to control the game on defense,
Okay. Yeah.
and of the two positions, defense is easier. However, I do think that I mean juking is kind of like my thing. I love it so much. Like it's always been. Like even when I play defense, if I have the flag, I'm like, all right, let's make some highlights.
Right. They're gonna give you Dominique Wilkins' nickname. You're gonna be the human
Yeah.
highlighter. Um, so do you plan to captain again? That's another question I wanted to jump on, but I didn't do it
That's kind of yes and no.
Yeah.
Like yeah, here's my biggest thing. So the other day, I was talking to Jim because we kind of had a little reunion sesh where it was like Dino, JJ, Jim, myself, and a couple other players like TPR and everyone.
Oh wow. Yeah.
And we're kind of just talking about stuff like our careers, highlights, funny moments, whatever. Um, and Jem asked me, cause she always kind of has this like tone of like, I can't believe you're still playing this fucking game. And
Oh, she's jealous. She's jealous.
well, so whenever she asked me, she's like, so like, what do you like? Why are you still playing or something like that? And I was like, well, I want to win a super this season and get in the Ball of Fame and all that. I mean, that's always been my goal is to get into the Ball of Fame. And she's like, and then you'll quit? And I was like, well, I don't know if I'll quit. I don't think so.
Yeah. I mean, like,
And she was like, so she asked the question was, um, well, what else is there like after Ball of Fame? And I was like, that at the time I didn't have an answer for her, but I've always said this. Like, I really, really, really like one of my top goals after Ball of Fame is to get all caps, like the franchise, a super. I've tried it many times.
yeah.
We came close 2 different seasons, well, 3 different seasons actually. Just like with me on them, and then in previous seasons they'd come close like once or twice before that. So I really want because that franchise I feel like is pretty historical. Besides like maybe Ghost Boosters, and I guess now like Holden Gate, um, or Center of Attention. Like it's pretty well regarded. Like it's got one of the most seasons under its belt and
Yeah.
has a decent percentage, I think. Although we kind of tanked it in season 19, but um, so yeah, that would be my biggest goal besides Ball of Fame would probably be.
Well,
So I do plan to captain at some point. Again, I just don't know when it will be.
I've always said, at least for me, when will you stop? Whatever. For me, it's like when it stops being fun, because that's the whole reason I'm
Yeah,
doing this. If it's not fun, I'm not going to do it. There's no reason to kill yourself for something or like play so much or spend so much of your time doing something you're not enjoying.
yeah,
In my
for sure.
opinion.
And actually, like after season 15, right before season 16, which was my super season, um, I had told myself, and that's kind of why it was funny that I went for like 90 whatever. I had told myself and kind of everybody around me, I was like, the reason I didn't talk to any of the captains was because I literally was like at the point where it kind of stopped being fun a little bit.
Hmm.
Like I was just putting too much for the amount of effort that I was putting into it. I wasn't seeing like really the results that I wanted to, and
Yeah.
it became a little bit of a grind. I was begging people to get on for scrims. Shout out to
Yeah.
Boogie and Milky. Uh, but it just felt like work at that point, and I was like, yeah, this isn't that fun. So my plan going into season 16 was like, I'm not really gonna show up for scrims. I'll show up for the games, and I'm just gonna have fun with it, and that'll be it. And then of course we draft Arm, and I'm like, all right, well, I kind of have to put in the work with this guy because
Yeah.
he's a
Of
rookie. He
course.
needs someone to kind of show him the ropes. So that kind of
Yeah.
changed things for me. But yeah, I definitely reached that point at one point, but now I've been locked in kind of ever since.
Yeah, I think it's funny. Like when you first start in NLTP, you play a lot. You scrim a lot. At least I did with the LPT franchise when I was with them. I felt like I scrimmed almost every day. And
Yeah.
then the next season I went minors, and I was like, yeah, we barely skim at all. Like I feel like you're just kind of burned out by the time you hit it. You're like, no, 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 I don't want to scrim
Yeah.
that much anymore.
Well, and
So
it's always funny because like if you ever read the like the preseason previews or the preseason rankings,
yeah, yeah,
the one like mainstay, no matter what the teams are, whatever team I'm on, someone somewhere in the preseason predictions will be like, well, they've got ball don't lie, so they're gonna end up scrimming a lot. So I'm like, that's a fair assessment. Like,
well, yeah, that's not a bad assessment either. I think that's a good thing.
no,
Makes your teams better.
I'm a big believer in scrimming a lot.
Yeah.
I think that it helps.
So you knew you were going to scrim a lot, and again, Mex was very high and very happy to get you, very high on you, I should say. He wasn't just smoking weed, but or maybe he was. I don't know. So did you know this team was going to be this good coming into the season? Did you think you'd be where you're at right now?
I will say that I had high hopes just because. So last season I drafted a really good team. Like we had Dog Tacos, Ty, myself, and then we had drafted Yes as our fourth ball. We went 10-4, which was, I mean, it's a really good record. Tied my career best. Um, and then we kind of flamed out in playoffs. But this season we drafted a team that was kind of similar
Hmm.
in terms of like we had two good O, and then our question mark at the time was either Rena or Frothy, but I think both of them. It was really nice to get Frothy because I remember being in the draft. We were like, okay, we're gonna go Rena. We're gonna go really hard for Rena, see if we
Yeah.
can get her. And then we really wanted Frothy. He was our next pick, but we weren't honestly like, at least I felt. I don't know how Mex felt. I felt like we weren't gonna be able to get him. Like somebody would bid just over us because I think we only had like a coin or something left. Actually, we might have had zero. I don't remember what Frothy went for, but I felt like someone would bid. So when we got him, I was like, wow, okay, we got a little bit of a squad here.
Yeah.
I kind of placed us in my head probably like third or fourth, just because we hadn't scrimmed yet or anything, and wanted to see where we were. But then we scrimmed a little bit, did well against like what I thought was the top team at the time, which was um what's Dog Taco's team name? I'm blanking.
Dog Taco? Who's Dog Taco?
DT, sorry.
Ball or nothing. Yeah. I didn't know that was what
um,
that stood for. That's
yeah,
hysterical.
Ball or Nothing. Ball or Nothing. That's the team name. So yeah, we scrimmed them, which at the time I thought they were going to be a top team, and we were doing really well. Like at least like close games, even if we were losing, but overall pretty well. And then we played the real key that kind of clicked for me in terms of like how good we could be was we played a Masters tournament, and I think you guys talked about it with Bright
Yeah.
on the podcast. We played a Masters tournament where we kind of made a run, made it to the finals, and then we played a stacked, team with Bright on. I think it was like, Bright, Goober. Uh, I don't know if I had Warriors, but it,
Warriors.
it was just a really stacked team, and I was like, oh, we're about to get slammed, huh? And then we played really well. We forced like overtime in one of the games, lost close in another, and it was just a really good series. So I think that was at the point where I was like, okay, yeah, we've got a pretty good chance to be really good.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, anytime you go up against those three names and it's close or you win, it's like, yeah, yeah, the squad's great.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have any rivalries with specific players?
Rivalries.
Or somebody like you end up playing, maybe not necessarily like I hate this guy, but more like,
No,
oh,
no, no.
I
I know
always
what
end
you
up
mean.
playing him. Yeah. Well, I was specifying for people listening so they don't start saying, "Oh, BTL or Bo don't
Yeah,
lie, he hates this guy. Oh no,
yeah.
he
No.
can't stand Goober."
I I'd say the people that I had quote unquote rivalries with, at least in my head, are all retired. Like I know I made it a point to always try and be at like my best whenever I played like JJ Poole,
Okay.
because JJ Poole, like especially early on in my career, uh, didn't think I was worth anything. Like he thought I was like not a good player at all. Which
Did-
was, I mean, so like he's entitled to his opinion, but like I just, that I'm a competitor and I always wanted to prove people wrong. So he was kind of someone I always like circled
yeah.
on the schedule a little bit.
Did
But
he
in terms of
ever?
like rivals now,
Did he do the Jordan thing to you? Like when
yeah, yeah, you know what, he said some things and I took it as sign as disrespect. So I just felt like I had to bust his ass and give him 60.
there it is. There it
No,
is.
but I'm trying to think, man.
So you
I will
square
say
off against
I don't
Bright
I
a
don't I don't
lot.
think like actual rivalries, but I will say like um whenever I played against like the really good play, like I remember for a little bit there we had a couple playoff series and regular season games against Warriors. I always kind of relished that. Same against Bright. I mean, we played him in playoffs and
Yeah.
in the regular season. And Grief, I remember played against him other than like pugs or in scrims. But anytime you go against those um, the absolute S tier of players, you
Yeah. No.
always kind of lock in.
Yeah, for sure. Who's Grief? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know
It's
exactly.
like every time, like I actually never saw him play, but anytime people say best tag pro players, it's Grief Seeds, and then the list starts after that, pretty
Yep.
much. So
I mean, to be fair, it is. It's Grief and everybody else like
yeah,
that. it's a disservice to say otherwise, in my opinion.
Here's a leak that many people didn't know. Grief Seeds is now playing as Bright.
Uh, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. I think he could play O. He showed he could do it in season 9.
I feel like I try to put Bright over at every opportunity because he's a really good podcast guest as well, and he does a lot of fun content with me.
Yeah, no, Bright's a good guy. I like Bright. We have like I think it's a fun back and forth. I don't know if he's finds it as funny as I do, but yeah, like I call him toxic and he like tries to slander me and like all this. I don't know. It's always like fun though, but just like going back and forth.
um, Bright is Asian. Does that make a difference?
God, okay. I'm gonna go on record here. I don't hate Asians. I literally okay. I'll tell you where this spawned from.
Yeah,
Okay, and
I
this
was
is
about
actually
to
probably get
ask.
me. This is probably gonna get me flamed anyway. We were having. I don't even remember who it was that started it, but we were having a conversation one day about like what we find attractive. Okay, and I said, well, I know like a popular thing is like people have like an Asian fetish or just like Asian women in general.
Sure.
And I was like, for me, Asian women don't really like do it for me. I don't find them all that attractive. Like they're not attractive to me at all.
Yikes! I'm gonna have to
And
edit this
that I don't
whole
know why, but that like
podcast.
snowballed into like, oh, BDL hates Asians, and now it's like anything to do with like Asians at all. It's
Oh,
like the
so
worst thing
ridiculous.
ever. But I don't. It literally is not that deep.
It's
But
so
I will
funny.
say I laughed my ass. I was at work today, and I was listening to your podcast with Mex, and he was like 20. You were like 20 seconds to go.
Yeah, yeah.
Who do you want to have the flag in your hands? And he's like, ball don't lie. And he's like, well, what about in an Asian country? And he's like, oh yeah, no, it's gonna be Rena. I was like, what the fuck? He came out of nowhere.
Oh, so good.
It was
Also, I
good.
don't think
I
Bright's
was
Asian,
laughing.
so we should clarify that as well. So it's not
What's
like
that?
I don't think Bright's Asian, so
Oh, okay.
I would be surprised.
That's fine if
Um,
he is either way.
yeah, I don't care. I just don't think he is. So I didn't want people to
Nah, I got
think he's Asian.
you.
I don't know why. It's not a good or bad thing, but best commentator awards. You have several of them.
I do.
The real question: are you better than the man you're talking to right now?
I don't recall listening to you in a stream like
Oh,
a
what
game
a
stream.
bunch of shade! Unreal.
No, yeah, you're just not that memorable, man. No, I honestly just don't think I've listened to any of your game
Sure.
casts. But I will say, I mean, I think I told you this earlier. Like I
Yep.
was listening to your podcast. You have a very like professional approach. I really appreciate that. I mean, we talked about like how we're kind of in the media journalism type
I
deal.
wish we had this before. I vaguely called you a racist against Asian
But
people.
yeah. But yeah,
Oh,
so I definitely feel like your podcast voice would probably be better than mine.
oh well, thank you.
Yeah.
I disagree,
Yeah.
but thank you. That's very nice. I do think we also both talked about him, so we might as well bring him up. Ron Sponson, one of
Yeah.
the best commentators of all time for Tag Pro. So shout
Shout
out
out
to Ron.
to Dr. McDonald as well.
Yeah.
He's kind of considered like even better than Ron or I. So
Oh, I don't even know who that is, but sure.
oh yeah,
Give
he's an
him
old timer.
props.
He's
The veteran.
retired like well long ago. He was a streamer.
Yeah, yeah.
He did a lot of the ELTP games.
Oh, okay. So yeah, ELTP. Yeah, big time.
Nice
Um,
shade.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
ELTP that
ELTP.
league.
That doesn't count.
Yeah.
What is? You might as well say Oceanic.
Yeah.
Sorry to everybody who plays in those league. I'm not actually throwing shade. I haven't watched, so that's why I was
Cher
like
is
not
rolling
familiar.
over in his well,
Sure,
not grave, but
well, I mean, on my other podcast, Bright already said he thought they should drop Shara, so Shara probably he thought Shara probably hates me. I thought Shara was
damn.
good though. I think he's having a great season. So,
Yeah, I
uh,
mean he's playing a lot better on O than what I thought he would, and that's not even to say his skill. It's more just about the ping. But
yeah, yeah, and he's also better than me even with all that ping. So I have no room to criticize.
right, right.
So if we were doing like a tier list of players, like ranking them 1 through 10, where do you put yourself in that range of like active or semi-active? Say like the last 2 seasons, that group of players.
Like top 10 players that have played like the past 2 seasons.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh God, you're putting me on the spot.
Hmm.
Bright's number one. I mean that goes without saying.
Wow, you're really
Um,
digging these Oceanic kids.
Um, let's see. You know, I think I have a much higher opinion of um Warriors than maybe some other people. I don't want to say a lot of people because the Warriors is very well respected, but for me personally, I always had whenever I played defense, Warriors always I could do well against Bright. I kind of read him. I feel like pretty well. Obviously, he gets his, but um, Warriors, I couldn't do anything against him, man. He
Yeah,
beats me up and chews me up and spits me out. So I always put him kind of them 1 and 2.
sure.
Um,
So generally, you'd say like top 5 for yourself?
lately, let me. Really trying to think. Like I'm trying to think of all the players. I mean, last couple seasons, Cheetos has been up there.
Yeah, Cheetah's been great too.
Um,
Goober too. Goober's amazing. I
yeah,
always
I
I
mean
always hype Wayne
Goober's
too.
Goober's really good. I don't know, man. That's really hard. I would definitely say that I'm definitely top 10 without question. I don't know if I'm top 5. I'm trying to think.
Well, you were on my ballot for MVP last season, so you at least last season you were
I
top 5.
appreciate
So
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think that personally I'm top 5, but I'm just trying to be respectful of everybody else too, and trying to think of everybody that's kind of been playing well, and I'm struggling. I don't know
Yeah.
why.
Nah, it's kind of
Struggling to
a
think
I
of
kind
some
of I did
names.
put you on the spot, so that's not on you. That's more on me. Anyone who wasn't mentioned, you can at me on Twitter at Judge Judy. That's who I am.
Yeah. No, but I do. I mean, I have. I'll tell you this. I mean, straight up,
Mhm.
most people that listen to this at this point will probably disagree. But like, I, I consider myself very. I have a high opinion of myself. I mean, but I think that's what all of like
Yeah,
the best players do is
you
they
have to.
all
Yeah,
have
absolutely.
very high self confidence, and that's just kind of how it goes. So yeah, I definitely consider myself top 5, but I'm sure you can make an argument otherwise.
Yeah. All right, we got one more, and then I do have to run because I have Bam right
Okay.
after
Yeah.
the
No, I get it.
Boozler,
You like him
if you
better than
will.
me. That's completely fine, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to say it like that, but you're right.
No, I just said, it's like the angry Obama translator. I'm just doing you a favor. I'm, getting it for
uh,
everybody else.
no, yeah, I love it. So this postseason, is there any team you're not thrilled to face, or any team you're looking forward to facing?
Oh, I was actually looking forward to this question because I can actually be honest about it.
All right.
There was a team that I did absolutely want nothing to do with.
Hmm.
Uh, but that team is no longer a threat.
Oh,
I had a dark horse for who might make the super. I have a very high opinion of Rank Thugs.
yeah.
However, I think that just the way that we play them in scrims, I think we could do well. But here's the thing: is the
Well, we'll
team
find
that I'm
out
thinking
Sunday.
of? Yeah, we will. No, I'm really looking forward to the game, man.
Should
I
be a
think
good
it'll
one.
be a good
Yeah.
one. Reptiles, man.
Oh
Reptiles
yeah,
has been
Doris.
kind of like sleeping, lying in the weeds,
Yep.
like. But they have when Ego moved to D, which is what I thought they should be doing from the jump anyway.
Yep.
But when Ego moved to D, that is a scary team because I love Dragon Beast. I think he's super good. Um, and when Doris left, I was like, whew, thank God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I just felt like they Ego's kind of a winner. I like Ego a lot. He gives me a lot of shit a lot of the time, but I actually do enjoy Ego and a lot of the teams that he's on because he plays his role very well, which is kind of like that. I'm not going to make as many mistakes. I'm going to contain and let my partner do the work kind of deal. But it's like like a cerebral kind of position for him.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, so they had Dragon and I don't remember actually who their other offender was. It was someone decent, I think. Let me look really quickly. Sorry, I know you're trying to run off.
All good. All good.
Oh yeah, First.
Hmm.
First has been absolutely like crushing it. In majors like quietly. At least I feel like he has like really good moves, and I know like
Yeah.
um, people have a high opinion of him. I think he's kind of on the rise. He's kind of like he'll probably be like the next ballerina in terms of like
Yeah.
next season he'll probably play majors or whatever. But yeah, so him, Dragon Beast, Ego, and Doris. Doris is a beast, man. Some days
Yep.
he'll be easy to juke, and then other days he'll just be like locked on.
Oh yeah. If
So
he puts his bot on, that's what it is.
Yeah, he keeps holding that alt key, but,
Yeah, that was a
no,
bummer
but
to see that he couldn't play 'cause, they that
yeah, it
was my
was.
big sleeper pick as well. He was
Yeah,
gonna
I
dominate
thought that
MVP
they would
ballot
make a
too.
run, and
Yeah.
I thought that they would probably, upset Rank Thugs or whoever,
Right, right.
and make a deep run, but, I definitely I'll tell you this right now, I would not have let Mex pick them, like, in the first round or anything like that, no way. I'd
Yeah,
rather play to anybody else.
for sure, yeah. Well, thanks for joining me, man. Like, I hate to boot you off, but, like you
That's
said,
alright.
I love Bamboozler, so I gotta do this.
Exactly. Well,
It's been a blast.
for sure, feel free to, if you ever do wanna do it again, I'm
Yeah.
all ears and, pick my brain about anything.
Oh, for sure, we might
Maybe
do a
maybe we can do
pre-playoffs
a
one.
yeah, a
Yeah.
pre-playoff or even, like, one after the season, like, "Hey, like, let's look back on people's careers and
Oh, yeah, I'd
just
love that.
shoot the shit."
Yeah, it sounds good. Alright, well, yeah, thanks, Paul, don't lie, you're the man.
Yeah, no problem, Jam. Thanks
Alright,
for having me.
cheers.